What is up, everybody? Before we start this video, go to GAGUESperformance.com. Get your swag, guys. It's a Black Friday special. Anything on the website is free shipping. Go get it now until December the 6th. Sale is going on, so use the promo code Black Friday and get your free shipping on the GP swag. All right, back to the video. Golly, look at this thing, man. What's going on with this mess? What up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. You see this, man? You see what people do to people? I don't get it. This is really why I started this channel. Just to help out people and hopefully avoid somebody doing something like this to you, because this is just nuts, man. Like, long story short, pull this dash apart off this 71 Chevelle, right? And this is some kind of aftermarket gauge setup that they put in here with like an LED board, and they just mocked it in here, and all they did was hook up power and ground. That's it, just so the LED board lit up. So it actually appeared like it worked, right, when you turn the key on and stuff like that. But it don't work. None of the gauges was hooked up. None of the sensors were hooked up, long story short. But back to the point of this video, you guys, I am here to help you guys out once again. So if you guys are doing a Dakota digital and you want to reuse your old harness from your dash. Now, every dash harness is a little bit different. Also, it depends obviously if you have the SS dash or not. This is just the sweep style dash, not SS dash gauges or at all, but it's more or less the same as far as the color codes go. So I want to go over a little bit of things as far as setting this thing up, as far as what wires you're going to use, what wires you're not going to use, just to help out with that process. Now, we do have the Dakota digital. We'll open that up here in a sec, just to show you where you're going to be plugging this stuff in. Now, you should have something like this that comes off one side of the dash, and also another one that comes off the other side of the dash. Now, let's go over this real quick. Obviously, these two wires right here are going to be your right turn signal wires, right? Your right turn signal power wires. That's your ground. You're not going to use this guy here. Now, this middle one here, you're not going to use either, because you're going to use the new harness that's provided from Dakota Digital. This one here is your should be your oil. Your oil, this blue wire here should be your oil from like your oil pressure switch. Basically, it would come on if you didn't have any oil pressure from the factory. So you're not going to use that one. You eliminate this one. These pink ones are just ignition hots. These two green ones here, these should be your temperature gauge. Basically, the dummy light's just going to say hot, hot. You know, that's kind of how they did it back in the day. You're not going to use those either. And then this green one here, this is going to be your brights, for your brights. So when your lights are on and your bright switch comes on, which is down here. So if you trace it, this will be the same green that goes to that one there. If you use just a multimeter and if you just do a continuity test, I guarantee you that's the light, the same wire that goes down to there, basically tells you when your brights are on. So you'll keep that one. You're going to use that one. You can use the ground if you want. If not, you can tie them off. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up using all these ignition hots, since they're already here, for our actual box from Dakota. Just utilize the wires that are already here, so that way you don't have to run extra grounds and you don't have to do shit like this. Excuse my French. But this is the kind of shit people do when they don't know what they're doing. They do this, and now we got to fix this. But so use those ignition hots for your Dakota digital. So we'll do that. So like I said, eliminate the ones that you don't need. So I just went over the ones that you are going to use. And on this side, usually black and gray. Obviously black is always ground, but this gray for this particular car indicates just basically your dash lights, like underneath the dash or the cluster. They basically come on when you put on your headlights, or your headlight switch. They're controlled by your headlight switch. So that'll come on as soon as you turn your dash lights on. So you're going to use this for your power for the actual dash light. So you're going to use this gray one. You can use the ground if you want, if it requires it on the box. Now, as far as this guy here, this should be your brake light, and then this is just an ignition hot. But basically, this is the one that goes down to your brake switch. Let me see if I can find it for you. Should be this guy here. It's a light brown wire. Basically, it tells the light to come on and say, hey, your emergency brake is on. I believe there's a spot for that on the Dakota digital box, so you might want to use that. You can just cut it off here and use that. This is just another ignition hot. If it calls for ignition hot, you can use that. And then these two here are going to be your left turn signals for front and back. So you're going to use those also, because I like to use them for like the stock look. Now, Dakota Digital has the option to like basically wire it to their setup. They have like built-in turn signal flashers on it, but I always like to use like the stock position one, so we'll use that. That's my ohm meter going off, but we'll use those so that way it looks like it's still stock. You'll have the stock turn signal markers, but that's really all you're going to use from here. As far as your original harness, like I said, you can, if you choose to pull these out, I'm probably going to pull this wires out. You got to unlace everything and then pull them off of here, off of these pins here, and just pull them out. But it's totally up to you. But I'm also going to clean all this stuff up here, because you can see the crap people do when you do stuff like that. This is your ignition switch to your column. That one there is to your brake switch on the pedal. Obviously, turn signal switch. Should be your reverse light switch here. Pink and green should be reverse light switch underneath the column as well. Oh, one big important one here. This guy here, this should be your fuel pressure gauge. I'm sorry, not fuel pressure. Fuel gauge, fuel level gauge. So that light brown always indicates on these GM cars, the light brown is going to be your wire that goes all the way back to your sending unit, obviously ignition hot and ground. So you're going to definitely use this switch. You're going to cut this connector off and then use those on the actual Dakota digital box, because it requires a power and a ground for that, for your sending unit, so you actually can read your fuel. You might have to extend these depending on obviously where you put that digital box at. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of pull out the Dakota digital real quick, and then we'll put the Dakota digital on the back of the dash so we have it set up and mocked up, and then we'll see where we're actually going to put the box where all these wires hook up, and then I'll show you guys kind of how I do mine, and then you can see if you guys want to do something like that. If not, like I said, we might even have to extend these to utilize these same wires, but that way you guys know what all these wires do on the back of this dash, and that way you're not doing crap like this, trying to find other areas to go back and steal basically power and ground from. Also, this yellow, gray, and black, this is your radio. So keep that in mind. That's just your radio. Nothing crazy, but that's just your radio. So, yeah. And grounds are obviously always going to be blacks. Let's go ahead and open this stuff up. Damn, Gina, looking good, you guys. What you guys think? So we ordered this one here. This is the VHX gauges from Dakota Digital. Obviously, thank you, Mel, 80s Performance. Hit them up, 80s Performance, man. He hooked us up again with these deals for this Chevelle. But we're going to go ahead and throw this in real quick. We'll slap that on the dash, and we'll remove the old one. That way we can kind of show you what we wired to that guy. All right. So, before y'all freak out, you don't have to do this, by the way. You guys don't have to do this. I'm gonna be drilling into this cluster, super tiny holes, by the way, but I'll give you a second option that you guys can do. Now, I did went ahead and laid in here real quick, So we got the actual Dakota digital dash in place now. We went ahead and actually threw in the vintage air kit as well, because we wanted to have in there ready to go. Can you guys see it? I'm gonna have to get some light for you guys. I'll turn it around here in a sec. But so this is your VHX box, right? So I wanted to mount it as close as possible to where we don't have to extend these wires, you know. So that's what I wanted to do. So I decided to go ahead to go ahead and put it here. So we're gonna put it right there, and you see the little 2 holes we already pre-drilled the hole here, pre-drilled a little hole, tiny little hole here. Trust me guys, I wouldn't have done it if I didn't feel comfortable, if I felt like it was gonna affect it. It should not, shouldn't have any issues. But so we're gonna mount it just like that, right behind the actual dash, so that way all our wires reach, and then we'll run any extra wires to it and it'll look clean. Now, backside, if you guys don't like that idea, you're gonna use some double-sided tape. I'm gonna do both. So I'm gonna go ahead and peel this off real quick and stick them both on there with the small screws. These are my little tiny little self-tapped black screws that we're gonna use in place. So like I said, you guys don't have to use the screws if you guys don't feel comfortable, but I went ahead and did both, so that way you guys have an option. Now, honestly, I think double-sided tape is gonna be, damn, that's sticky. See, the double-sided tape is gonna be more than enough, and you guys do not have to use screws if you don't want to, but I'm gonna use them. That way you guys can see it's safe and should have no issues. Now press down that. Make sure you line it up. If you have those screws already pre-drilled, make sure you guys line it up with the holes there. And then I'll grab these guys and we'll slap one in here and one in here. Let me grab my drill. Don't torque these things down, man. I've seen people, I don't know what, some people nowadays with impacts, they try to put little small electronic components together, but don't freaking torque these things down. Just like that. Like I said, you can use a double-sided tape, you can use the screws. We went ahead and used both, and we're going to connect our data here to one of these display ports. It does not matter which one. And then we'll come back in the morning, guys, because it's super late. We'll come back and we will finish this video up in the morning. It'll all be on the same video, but at least we got it mounted onto the actual dash. That way our wires, we don't have to extend them, they'll reach right there. I'll see you guys in the morning. All right, you guys, it is the next morning. Went ahead and did some work without you guys. I figured you guys didn't want to see all this boring wiring. So I want to show you kind of what I did. You see, we kind of have the box here nice and set up here. Now, obviously, we combined most of our grounds that we had here that came off those old indicators. So we combined most of the grounds and then came to the actual ground here on the box. So we reutilized those. And then we also took the ground from the sending unit and came all the way down here to the sending unit along with the sending unit signal itself. So we extended both of those, landed them here. This one here is just the switch that runs down to the dash, so you can operate the dash's functions just for the Dakota digital. And then we also ran an extra wire here. This gray one is our tack. I kind of just sitting here just because we have to run that through the firewall, so we just pre-ran that. And then obviously we have our accessory power, our basically, which is our ignition switch power. You guys remember all the pink wires that we had here? Those are all ignition hots. We combined those and then made one out of it, and that's the red. I didn't have any pink wire, so we went to a red. But we combined those because we don't want any of these hot wires just sitting around, flapping around. The same thing with this side. We had one on this side, took it, extended it, and brought it into that same bundle because, like I said, for one, it gives us more power and everything else like that, but we don't want any hot back here in the dash. Last thing we want to do is burn this car down, so make sure you guys do that. We also added another wire for constant power, which is our orange, which I ran it actually and extended it and split it, actually, believe it or not, off the cigarette lighter. So what I did here is I just went in here, cut it, and then ran one back to the actual box off the cigarette lighter, because we know that orange is constant power. And then we extended that too, because what I'm gonna end up doing is I don't know if you guys see my previous videos, I like to do the little USB conversion mod on these cigarette lighters. So we'll do that as well. What else did we do here? Cleaned up a couple of this stuff here because it was all messed up from previous people wiring. The other grounds as well, I took them here, took all these grounds, combined them into one, and then took them to the dash. So we have a nice grounding, the dashboard here, get it a nice ground for it. So just that way we don't have any loose wires basically not there, you know, just hanging around. We don't want that. These two wires are for your obviously door jamb switch. We'll leave those alone. What else did we do? Obviously our data cable. Oh, we also, of course, we ran all our wires down here. We ran our gray, which is our illuminate for the actual dash to dim. We ran our brake lights negative to there, that's that brown. We ran our high beams, which is the green one off the left side of the dash if you're looking at the back of it. And then left and right turn signals, combined those two, ran right into that, and that's pretty much all of them, guys. I mean, it's should look something like this when you guys are done. And then tape everything up, and then heat shrink if you have to. I did some heat shrink, especially on the hot stuff. But I also went ahead and prepped the dash for the vintage air, so we had to cut this all up, prep it for the vintage air ducts, along with this back piece as well. I don't know if you guys know, they stick way out here, so you got to cut them and then put this cover plate behind here. But we got pretty much everything prepped up and ready to go, so we can just throw the dash in. Stick around, guys. You guys want to see this dash, see what it looks like in the car. Other than that, hope you guys like this info. Let me throw this in the car now. Dash is in, y'all. Dash is in. We gotta address this issue here. Some jackass decided to cut these wires up from the steering column, so we got to put a new connector on there, along with these as well. This is a park neutral safety switch and reverse lights. We got to hook those up, but her neutral safety switch is broken, so we got to order a new one of that. But dash looks good, you guys. I can't light it up for you guys because we don't have a battery in the car right now, but and then we're also going to hook her up here with that custom USB charger here. But it looks good, you guys. I would say this, it is a little bit of tight, so just keep that in mind. I don't know if you guys can see, the sun's kind of blaring right now, but it's definitely a little bit of tight with that box there, the Dakota digital box. You might be able to move it over to the right a little bit. That is going to require you to actually extend all those wires if you guys want to move the box over a little bit, but you can. But I did not, so mine are definitely a little bit of tight there because of that defroster here. But we got all our vents hooked up and everything. But I like it, you guys. Let me know what you guys think. Hopefully that information helps anybody out doing these Dakota digitals with their stock harness. But everything looks good. Vintage air looks good. She's got to get a radio in here. I don't know what she's want to do here, but I left that radio harness. I'll just unplug it and leave it there. But looks good, guys. Looks good. Let me know what y'all think. You guys, man, I'm trying to hide from this freaking sun, but hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell for notifications. As you already know, stay wrenching.